Are you feeling overwhelmed by Instagram? The constant need to post, stay up to date with trends, and everything else that comes with Instagram. You're not alone, because today I'm going to be sharing the secrets to staying consistent without feeling like you're burning out. And spoiler alert, it's not about posting less. Yep, it is not. So let me share my presentation because I have some good stuff to show you. Yeah, there we go. I want to make sure that, let me see. Okay, perfect. I was wondering if you guys could see that, so I think we're fine. My bad if I'm taking a little bit of time. Okay, there we go. Okay, my bad. All right. So basically, it's probably because of these things, and it's why you're feeling like you're burning out. Basically, you're waking up every day thinking, what the F do I post, right? You don't really have a plan. You kind of just come up with some ideas on the fly, and you basically, just post. And it actually takes you time to figure out what to post and create it and, shoot it if you need to and all that kind of thing, right? Or you might be posting content that actually is more trending, meaning you're using audio trends, you're using like dance trends, you're using like the concepts that are trends, and you're just talking about like in the now stuff, right? Related to your industry. So that might actually be hard to keep up with, right? Like, and that all together leads to burnout. And unfortunately, burnout is more than just feeling tired, right? It's really a state of emotional and physical and mental exhaustion. And it's been prolonged because you're getting stressed about creating content. And if you're feeling detached, unmotivated, constantly stressed about posting, you might be experiencing burnout. But I don't want you to feel that anymore. Okay, we're done with that. And that's why I'm here, right? I'm Prati, your social media strategist and bestie, and I'm here to help you get more customers without sacrificing your sanity, sacrificing your happiness in, being on Instagram, right? We can find something and a way to work our marketing, work our business, and posting on Instagram without feeling bogged down by it. So that's what I'm going to help you with. And I would love it during this live, or when you watch this in a replay, if you couldn't make it, to screenshot and share. And you can tag me on Instagram at Prathima, and I will reshare your story. But let's get to it. All right. I believe that the key to consistency is really planning ahead. And what I mean by that is not actually scheduling out every post a year out and all that kind of stuff. It just means that we need to have a flexible framework and a flexible workflow, right? So that's how I believe we can achieve that consistency. The consistency in our message, the consistency in actually showing up, the consistency in, feeling good about what we're posting, right? That all matters. And so that's what I think we need. Now, let's talk about the fact that not every post that you will create serves the same purpose on Instagram. So understanding that you have to actually create different types of content to take people on the journey of finding you, liking you, and trusting you, and then actually finally buying from you is super important. And it's essential for you to understand and have that mindset first, right? And so I want to share this funnel, the social media funnel graphic, which will probably help you understand like how people are kind of going on that journey and the types of content we can create so we can actually take them on that journey. So it's easier for us to sell at the end and people feel comfortable buying from you at the end when it's time, right? So what this is basically, at the top of the funnel is really when people are finding you and they're becoming aware of your brand. And usually things like FAQs are great for that type of content that you can create. And then once they get to like getting through the surface level information, right, where you're giving them that, you get in deeper and they consider you, they start to trust you, they consider you for actually helping them, helping them like answer their real like dreams and get them that real transformation, right? And this is where you can share expertise and values. And then finally, when they're ready to buy, you can share social proof, testimonials, things like that, that really makes it super easy again for them to like say, yes, like give me whatever you have, right? And so I want to walk you through each of these stages and the types of content we create. And I want to introduce you to my framework called the problem to post framework. So if you remember, I said like usually like the consistency happens when you have a plan and something that can help you come up with the posts easily, right? So my problem to post framework essentially is it helps you turn everyday challenges that your audience has into engaging content, right? And so with one problem, because your audience probably has a bunch of problems, unfortunately, yes, that is the case, just like everyone else. But we have a lot of problems related to that topic that we're like in our industry and what we're trying to talk about, right? And so your audience has a bunch of problems. But if you take that one problem and break it up into different perspectives and ways of answering and helping your audience come up with a solution to that problem, you essentially can come up with a bunch of posts. And let's just say like a week is 5 days, right? Monday through Friday. You can come up with 5 posts that are related to that problem that kind of takes them through that journey of like first understanding what's going on, like the internal issue and why that problem is there in the first place, to actually finally seeing you as a solution to help them solve that, right? So that's my problem to post framework, really. And so just to make it easy, I kind of, want to give you some examples, right, of what these things are. So basically, you have the main problem, and then you have 5 posts that you can create. Like I mentioned, FAQs, expertise, your story, your values, your primary offer, and then like post number 5 can be anything off topic, or it can be related to your topic, but it can be trending, right? So that way you have something that you can come back to and use at a later time. And mostly like, because these are usually topics and ideas that you can reuse again. And then these trending things, of course, they won't be relevant anymore. It kind of moves on, right? Like as time goes by. But let's talk about like each of these types of categories of topics that you could do. So FAQs, they're really like the highest ranking questions from Google that people are typing in, answering. What you'll do is you'll answer questions with your perspective, your point of view, and your approach. And that's what makes it unique compared to everyone else answering the same question on the internet, right? And so what you can do is like you can Google actual results and to the question or the problem that people have, and use that as headlines and hooks, right, for your content. And then you can also think about like questions that you repeatedly get asked by people who end up becoming your client, and people who are considering you, or people who have been your customer, and you just keep hearing the same thing again and again. These are things that fall into that FAQ category. And if you create content around these types of questions that are related to that problem, then you'll probably attract people into your world, and you will get people to pay attention to you because you've kind of answered that surface level question that they're always like searching answers for, right? So I'll go through an example for a real estate agent after this, but I just kind of want to go over the high level first. And then post number 2 that week can actually be sharing more about your expertise related to that problem, right? Your unique approach to tackling that problem, your processes, your strategies, your frameworks, anything like that. So for example, this problem to post framework is something falling into that category of expertise. So I'm sharing with you a framework that I came up with to help me figure out what to post for social media, right? So this helps you learn a little bit more about how I do things and how I work with clients. And if this helps you in any way, you're going to be trusting me more, right? You're like, oh, wow, like I get this now. I can use this and I can actually create more content. Then that's awesome. That's what I want, right? So that's what expertise is about. And then post number 3 can be more about like, is there a story or like something you can share your experience in the past that kind of relates to that problem that your audience also has? So here it can be, again, your stories from your past, your experiences, your team, like maybe your team helps with something related to that. Relatable aspects, like things that you're going through right now that can relate to that problem, what your brand stands for, what your brand doesn't stand for. So all of this kind of falls into category 3, which is story and values. And then post 4 is actually talking about what you offer, right? So these can be tutorials on how to use your product or things about your service, the benefits of your service and products, transformations people have gone through using your product or services, actual testimonials, right? Social proof, and actual user generated content. Like things that people are sharing about your service and your products, right? So that falls into that category. And then, like I said, post 5 can be like industry news, current events, trending topics, or whatever you want to talk about. So essentially, if you take one problem every week that your audience has and create 5 different posts from it into these categories of topics, you can have 5 posts kind of done, right? So let's go through an example so you can see what I mean and how to come up with those topics, because these are very high level. Okay, so for the real estate agent, the problem is like when this real estate agent, their audience is, let's say, couples who are looking for their first house purchase, right? So a question that they may have is like, how do I find my ideal house? Like, what do I know is ideal for us right now? I mean, they may have different things going on in their head and like inspiration, things like that, but that's like essentially something that they're always thinking about. It's like, how do I find it? Like, help me, someone help me, right? So top level, surface level question is like, do I need a real estate agent to find a house, buy a house, things like that, right? That's something they may do at the beginning of their search, right? As they're going through this. And so what you could do is share a benefit of having an agent, and things like they look up houses for you so you can go about your life, so you don't have to go through the search of all of that. They will do the digging for you, right? Depending on your like needs and all that kind of stuff. So you can answer that very high level question right there, post 1. Post 2 can be sharing, again, your expertise, right? So the first step in finding your ideal home, like you can share your process if you have one to get the info from your clients on what they're exactly looking for. Like, do you have like a workbook? Do you have like a little spreadsheet that you share with clients that kind of helps them fill out all that information? What is that process? So you can share like how easy it is, how how it gets you guys to find the right house. Again, that's that main problem, right? So that's post 2. Post 3, you can talk about when you, the agent, actually bought that for your first home. Like, you can talk about, it wasn't perfect, but this is what we learned from living in it for the last 5 years. And just like sharing that kind of story can make people hopeful that, that first home doesn't have to be perfect or like new or anything like that, but maybe it's something they can bring life into once you move in, right? It won't tick all the marks, but it ticks most of it and all that kind of stuff. So sharing a story like that can be really impactful, inspiring, and it could show that you care and you know how they feel. That first couple, right? When they're reading this, they can be like, oh, wow, like this person really knows like what we're going through and I get it and all that kind of stuff, right? And then post 4 can be a testimonial from a couple that you just helped close on their first home. And, it could be a video, it could be a text, it could, whatever you want, but it can be a testimonial. So you see right there, like related to one problem, we've come up with four different posts, and you see how it all kind of ties in, right? So you can see how kind of easy it is if you think about it in this way. Like 1 week of, posts don't have to be in 10 different topics or 10 different problems. Choose one problem and create like 4 posts around that problem. Basically, this is giving a chance for your audience to visually and also and consume it in a different way. They're seeing testimonials, they're hearing a story, they're hearing like your process of doing things. They are like, you're answering the high level questions. So they're all, again, like points of connections to feel more comfortable with working with this real estate agent, right? So that's kind of how I go about coming up with topics every week, right? You choose one problem and you kind of give it different perspectives of like thinking and information, right? So, and this is like the framework that I share with clients and I like to go with and share, because again, you don't have to worry about different problems in 1 week. Just focus on one problem, sharing it in different ways of talking about it. And you don't always want to share A to Z, right? A to Z is a lot. So share in one post A to B. How do you get from A to B? And then basically what you're doing is focusing on one core lesson, one core tip, one core action. And in that week, it's one core problem. Cool? All right. So this is all great, right? Like using this framework to plan your weekly posts is fantastic. But finding a workflow on top of having a plan is also going to feel much better. And you're going to be able to stay consistent if you do so, right? So having a plan can get you going, but then finding a good workflow that feels good in addition to planning can really help that consistency. So I have a few tips for that. And the first one is setting realistic goals, right? You want to start with small, achievable goals. So instead of posting daily, aim for even 3 quality posts per week, right? So out of that framework and, creating 5 posts in a week, you don't even have to do 5 posts. Let's say you kind of do 3 in 1 week, then 2 in another, then 3, 2, 3, 2. You could do something like that, right? But essentially, if you figure out all those 5 posts, you can break it up however you want. And you're kind of talking about one core problem for, let's say, 2 weeks. And then you can move on to the next problem and next problem. So I've seen there's about maybe 5 to 10 like core big problems that people are going through related to one thing at any one time, right? So if you can break up those problems and then create the content around that, you can recycle all your content at the end. And I'll share that with you. That's one of my tips too. But the next one is to basically batch content production, right? So I found that the workflow where you're batching a bunch of content at one time is really hard. I actually only work up to 1 to 2 weeks ahead. I don't work up months of content. You could do it, but I don't recommend that because I find it overwhelming to even think about. And I have like 3 kids and, like it's busy. Like we all have other things to do. So like for me, 1 to 2 weeks of batch content planning is good. But here's what I mean by batch content production. So I'm actually dedicating several days to produce a final piece of content, right? But this can help me produce all the 5 pieces in 1 week if I do it this way. So let's say in 1 day for like 30 minutes, I'm coming up with the topic ideas. So imagine like that plan where I'm coming up with 1 week of post and topic ideas, even less than 30 minutes. For 1 week, I could probably take 15 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes. and I can come up with all those topic ideas. Post 1, post 2, post 3, post 4, post 5, right? For one problem. And then I'll take another piece of like time block, another time to actually create graphics for those posts, if it is graphics. And then I'll batch shooting videos if I actually need videos for those. And then I would actually take another piece of like time to batch editing and batch caption writing. So the reason why I do this is because each of those things related to creating social media posts is using different parts of my brain, right? I can't do, if I do one post and all of it at a certain time, I actually find that I take longer to finish one post. I might even take an hour or two to just finish up one post. I need to spread the different types of tasks into blocks of time. So again, batch coming up with topic ideas, batch creating graphics, batch shooting videos, editing, and caption writing. So try to think of it that way. And if this isn't something you've tried, try it and see how you feel. And what this does is it reduces the daily pressure and keeps your feed, again, active, right? Because you can finish up 5 pieces of content the week before, and you've separated time for each of these tasks. Okay, the next one, definitely use analytics, right? If you're just going on a gut feeling that, hey, it's working, hey, it's not, I've seen many people just kind of give up and say like, oh, it's not working. And the truth is, it is working. It is working, but you don't know because you haven't been like looking at your data, right? So definitely look at your analytics to see what works and focus on 3R seeing your content. So this is my little method for determining how to repurpose my content. So here's what I mean. So their 3Rs basically stand for reshare, revive, and reform. And so what I say, like how to determine how to, you reuse your past content by looking at analytics. You want to reshare the top performing posts exactly as they are. So basically go back maybe 90 days. If you've been posting consistently, go back about 90 days, look at your analytics and find the posts that have really performed well and use them again, right? So what's great about this, you don't have to create new content. It's quick to schedule it out, and it's the least time consuming, right? And then the next thing you can do is look at past content, and maybe you want to revive it. So maybe that content that didn't really do that well, they did okay, but maybe tweaking it a little bit, making a minor change can actually like help you, give new life to it, right? And it might do well the next time. So most of the content can be reused, and maybe you just need like simple visual or copy updates. And again, you can try again, right? So that's like kind of in the middle, and it's not as time consuming. The final one is like you can reform. So you can transform content from the past into new formats for different platforms, or even the same platform like Instagram. And so what's great is that you can use content that's evergreen. So basically from those 4 categories, FAQ, expertise, stories, things like that. If you've shared something that is evergreen and still relevant, you can, transform it into new pieces of content, like a carousel into a reel into a graphic, like a list into something on the reel, right? Using B-roll. And so what's great is that you can probably use all of the content again, but then you can just shape it into a different format, right? And this is great for experimenting and seeing maybe if your audience likes a different way of consuming things like that. And basically, it extends the content lifespan, which is great. And then finally, you can repurpose long form content into short form content. This is exactly what I do nowadays. I used to go the opposite way, and I've realized that just takes too long. It's just too much, and it was harder. It was more time consuming. So for example, right now I am doing like YouTube lives every couple of weeks and that kind of thing. And so what I do is I take the transcript from my YouTube live and I create 5 pieces of content for that week. And I can even create more than that. I can probably create 2-3 weeks of content. But right now I just do like 1 week of that, and then I talk about something else. And then if I do another YouTube live, I have 1 week of content for that. So this flow I found has worked really well for me. I'm leveraging ChatGPT to help me figure out what I can repurpose into and come up with a, kind of basic outline of things. And it's really great. But I start with the problem to post framework, right? Those 4 pieces of content, the categorical and topics, and then I go from there, which is really cool. So that's basically it. To stay consistent, again, without burnout, it's not about the frequency to stay consistent. It's about posting smart, right? So it's not about posting less or, anything like that. It's just being smart about your workflow, your planning, and things like that. And that will lead to the consistency. And then that consistency builds trust. That consistency will bring engagement, right? So I encourage you to really be flexible. Be flexible, allow yourself to adapt. If something isn't working, it's okay to change your strategy. Everybody thinks it's just like you have to stick with one for a long time. I say 90 days, if you can be consistent with a strategy and give yourself that flexibility to adjust after that, then you'll know what is working and what's not. 90 days, give yourself 90 days. Plan something out, plan strategically, like how you're going to create your content, what problems you're going to talk about, things like that, and then adjust after that. Because then that will give you some good data to see what's working and what's not. All right. So remember, planning is your best friend, and use my problem to post framework to stay consistent and avoid burnout, and you'll be good to go. So if you found this helpful and this video helpful in this training, I'd love to invite you to do my free challenge. Optimize to Attract is a 3-day challenge giving you 3 simple tweaks to create an Instagram profile your dream clients can't resist. Because get this, even if you have a plan and strategy and all that kind of stuff, optimizing your profile is really the essential first step for creating a successful strategy for Instagram. And the reason I say this is because the last few weeks I've taken a break from posting, just because I just felt like I don't need to, and just want to enjoy my break, and I don't want to go on social media and all that. I didn't feel guilty because I knew my account, my profile is set up so in such a way that if people want to come and they find me through searching my keyword social media strategy or whatever, they'll find me. But also I have content that I've made on there that they can binge anytime they want to. I don't need to be constantly posting and talking about it. They can go and dig in if they're really interested. But I've set up my profile that way. So this is going to help you, this 3-day challenge. So I invite you to go into the description of this live after I'm done and start the challenge. It's just 3 days, 3 mini tweaks you can do to really set your profile up for getting the best leads. All right. So don't forget, if you like this training, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe for more tips and strategies on mastering social media without losing your mind and losing your sanity. And connect with me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments how you plan to stay consistent on Instagram for the rest of the year and in 2025. All right. See you later. Bye.